A Villain in Venice, Jane of the Air, Book 1. A steampunk detective and aviatrix and part-time spy. Available now. All profits to the NHS.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast, this time talking about, well, The War Doctor Begins, Forged in Fire. Now, I need to say at this point that it's kind of spooky. I mean, seriously spooky. The guy that they've got doing the voice of the young John Hurt, Jonathan Carley, is spookily good. Seriously, marvellous. After about 10 seconds you go, what, hey? Saying that, I was so impressed by how good and how close to John Hurt's voice this guy is doing that I played some for my wife and she went, who's that then? Because she's not a Doctor Who fan. So it made no sense to her. But it makes sense to us. You see, we feel, us enchanted few Doctor Who fans, the entitled ones, we feel cheated by the fact that death came along and took John Hurt's Doctor away from us after only a handful of audios. We wanted more. We are greedy by nature, and so when Big Finish found a way of doing it, we did the dance of joy, and then we did the worry of Doctor Whodom. Because that's what we do. Our perpetual state really is one of worry. And this did not go away until I got to hear it. And that was when I went, good God, this is good. And it is. It tells the story immediately after the McGann Doctor fades away and we're replaced with what becomes the War Doctor. But you completely forget that it's not John Hurt. I mean, it just goes. And you're listening to the young John Hurt. It's incredible. Yes, I know that it's not. And I know not only are you doing the voice of someone who's a very good actor, like we have with the Third Doctor, we're doing the voice of royalty. I mean, this is beyond an impression, which is why Louise Jameson's been brought in to do some serious coaching and directing. And it's worked beautifully. What we've got is 3 stories. We've got 1.1, Light the Flame by Matt Fitton, 1.2, Lionhearts by Lou Morgan, and 1.3, The Shadow Squad by Andrew Smith. Let's look at these one at a time. The overall synopsis is the Doctor is no more. In his place, a warrior, finally joining the time war between the Daleks and Time Lords. But how far will he go to end this conflict? What lines will he cross? How much of himself will he sacrifice? The War Doctor is only just beginning to find out who he is. So it starts with 1.1, Light the Flame by Matt Fitton. The Sisterhood of Karn have a guest, recovering from his traumatic regeneration. To do what is asked of him, the Doctor has rejected his name and his code. The Time Lords have plans for him and for Karn. Is he ready to light the flame of war? It's a nice, solid introduction. The Doctor is concerned about whether he's the Doctor or not. He's desperately trying to fight against the fact that he isn't. But he really is. We know he is. We really do. He knows that he has to do things that are questionable. But he's still always going to be the Doctor at his core. Always looking for an elegant and scientific solution to a problem over outright combat. The Sisterhood, of course, are well realised, and if anything, it's the Time Lords who come off worse, but they always will in a story like this. 1.2, Lionhearts. by Lou Morgan. Seeking out Gallifrey's new warrior, Commodore Tamasan finds that the War Doctor has invited himself on a secret mission. The time-sensitive Tharils are in danger, and an old friend of the Doctor is trapped. But Biroc knows better than to trust either side in this war. This is clever, seriously. It's got an Ocean's 11 heist kind of a feel to it, but only in the sense of this is still war story. This is us trying to get a feel for how good the Doctor is or how bad. It works so well. If anything, no, I don't even want to point out a highlight for this box set because as far as I'm concerned they're all gems, but it is great and it's so nice to have the Tharils back. Yes, they can be metaphors for all sorts of things, not just the obvious, and they are really, really well realised here. It's been a long time since we've seen them, but it does make sense. And of course there's a lot of throwaway lines about the other casualties from the Gallifrey box sets. It's nice that it all feeds in on itself. But at its core, all the way through, we've got the man who isn't John Hurt, but just is, because your brain just accepts it immediately. Because the performance is exactly what we thought the War Doctor would be. Which brings us to 1.3, Andrew Smith's The Shadow Squad. Oh yeah, you've got a lot of Daleks finally turning up, and they are evil, they are twisted, and they are manipulative of the highest order, and as always, they are their own worst enemy. This works tremendously well, but it's one of those stories if I talk about, well, you'll just get spoilers. Tamasan is unconvinced on the War Doctor's loyalties, though when their paths collide, both agree that the destruction of the Daleks' time strategist could be the best route to victory. But on one world, the Daleks have found a way to annihilate all the plans to defeat them before they've even begun. It just works. It's very, very good. We need more of this. We really do. And yes, I am lamenting the loss of the main or monthly range. But you know what? If you keep distracting me with tasty morsels like this, I'll soon let it go. I'm a very fickle man, after all. So with that, I'll bid you farewell and let you listen to the trailer. So until next time, be seeing you.
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The War Doctor Begins, Volume 1.
I assumed you were here to help. That you were on our side.
Oh, sides. It always has to be about sides, doesn't it?
Doctor of War, make your choice.
We're too close to falter now! Prepare explosives!
You try my patience.
You try mine!
What are they going to do?
What you have forced them to!
What are they going to do?
You may think you're being very clever, but what you're doing risks tearing apart the fabric of space and time. There are more things in heaven and earth, Rasmus. Or should I say Karn and Gallifrey. I can't see how one Time Lord makes a difference.
You will find a way. The renegade, the warrior.
Open the time chamber. You want to know what is behind the wall. You will have your answer.
It doesn't look very hospitable.
Enter.
Big Finish. We love stories.
That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher, and wherever good podcasts are found. Get early access to content by subscribing to the Tin Dog Podcast YouTube channel. You can support the show at patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on Twitter at tindogpodcast or email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. All of the things discussed are the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.